What do we learn from others? And what do others learn from us? And finally, what keeps us from learning the lessons we need? Hi, this is David Allen Greer for the Errant hashtag. Today's episode is entitled, Not a Programmer. Graduate students seem to be able to form communities in an instant. When they gather as strangers at a conference, say a class or a party, they demonstrate an ease in bonding, a freedom of trusting others. In just a few minutes, they can exchange bits of information to suggest that they have a common background and a common experience. Your ways are my ways, they tell each other. Your concerns are my concerns. At a recent summer school, I saw such a community flourish as the participants discussed the impact of computer simulation on scientific research. For a week, 15 students laughed and smiled and gossiped while they discussed the ideas of philosopher Fritz Rolich. Rolich argued that we were at the threshold of an era of new scientific methodology. He claimed that simulation was a qualitatively new and different methodology for the physical sciences because it fell between the traditional forms of theoretical and empirical research. All the members of this newborn community agreed that Rolich was probably correct, but each found a unique reason to support their position. Juan took the podium first to present his ideas. He was followed by Guy and then by Seth, Katerina, Thomas, and others in their turn. All of the speakers rejected the traditional criticisms of scientific simulation, the claim that it fails to provide a clear mathematical description of natural phenomena. To a person, they seemed comfortable with its common justification, that it provides numerical answers in situations where mathematics cannot. As two simulation pioneers once famously claimed, simulation exploits the strength of theoretical mathematics while avoiding its associated weakness. However, most of these graduate students ignored the strengths of simulation and focused on its weakness. Most argue that simulation was epistemologically opaque, a term that was coined by another philosopher, Paul Humphreys. To a philosopher, simulation is epistemologically opaque because it can't be fully verified by a scientist. A scientist can verify that a simulation produces the same data that is produced by nature, but that same scientist can't verify that the simulation produces those numbers the same way that nature produces them. Each of the speakers offered a different reason for the epistemological opacity of simulation. Among the causes they suggested were the complexity of software, the division of programming labor, the use of software libraries, even the age of many simulation languages. The most novel idea hung on the phrase, "I'm not a computer scientist." But it was a phrase that one student, Katerina, had discovered while she was studying a large simulation project. After hearing many people on the project use that phrase, she concluded that it was being employed to justify bad programming practices and hide the internal operation of the code. She said that her subjects had learned programming from each other and hence were mediocre programmers. They would recommend unsuitable computer languages, accept technical debt, code inefficient algorithms, design mediocre file structures, or cling to awkward factorizations. In almost every case, the bad habit was introduced in a sentence that began, "I'm not a computer scientist, but." From Katerina's research, it was a little too easy to conclude that scientists need to be better trained in software engineering, though of course they do. The phrase, "I'm not a computer scientist, but," not only tells us that computing is opaque to some scientists, it reminds us that science is also opaque to software engineers. Scientific research has become permeated with software engineering. One speaker characterized software engineering as contaminating science. For most projects, scientists need software in order to collect, simulate, and analyze data. More science is done on the desktop than in the lab or in the field. But software engineering and scientific research part ways. One has the goal of making things that work. The other has the goal of understanding what is true, even when it can't make things that work. To one, simulation is a program that has to work. To the other, a simulation is a way of communicating the ideas we believe to be true. They have enough in common to be part of the same community, but they will never be the same thing. This is David Allen Greer for the Errant hashtag. Take care.